Was there any talk of when you went to AWA doing singles, or were you coming in with the tag team with Shawn?
Well, I think they had in mind doing a Rock and Roll Express type thing, just like the Central States did. But I think they didn't know who they wanted to do it with. So when they brought me in, actually I was there 3 or 4 weeks, and I guess I was getting over fairly decent. I was scared to death, man, because I was like new guy, lowest on the totem pole, new guy in. And also everybody was pretty plainly dressed. Let me see, wait a minute, where they had the Freebirds and the Road Warriors. Other than them, I mean, here I was coming in with this tiger stripe, fur on the legs, as Shawn called it, and around the wrist, and the tiger shirt type thing, and headband, and everything, tiger stuff. So it sort of was, look, stuck out like a sore thumb going in there, and kind of everybody was checking out the new guy. What's his deal? So it was very nerve wracking, but it went pretty good. And about 3 or 4 weeks in, Vern Gagne pulled me aside. He goes, "We want to do a tag team. We want to create a tag team here for the teeny boppers," as he said. And he says, "You know who the Rock and Roll Express is?" At that point, I'm still oblivious. I'm like, "Yeah, I know of them. I don't know them." And I don't even think I really was 100% sure I knew what he was talking about, because it was a Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, and I just knew it was an Express. I didn't know for sure what he was talking about. But he said, we kind of want to do something like that. Is there anybody out there that you've met that you feel comfortable tagging with? And immediately, Shawn, because we tagged it once, and it was like that. And my immediate answer was yeah, it's going to be Shawn Michaels. And right as I said it, I thought about Dave. I said, "Oh shit, I got Dave in here." But then again, I mean, Dave got in there anyway. But as soon as I said Shawn Michaels, Greg was like, "Oh yeah, we've heard a lot about him," just like Kansas City. And they're like, "Yeah, that's good. That's good for us, and that works for us. You're comfortable with that?" Yeah. So we got a call. Now I want to tell you a little story that was kind of foreshadowed the entire career. If I would have just known, if I was just paid attention right then. We used to go to Vegas every third week at the Showboat and film. Curt Hennig was the greatest guy, man, in the world. I love him to death. He was, of course, his father. He learned the business from his father. So besides the wrestling, he knew the antics that went on behind the scene for the boys. Curt was like the leader. Scott Hall was up there. Scott had gone up there, and Curt. They were tagging Curt and Scott at the time, which was they had good chemistry together. But Curt was, even Scott's big old, Curt was like everybody followed him. Curt was the man that, what do we do here? How do we do it? What's the right way? What's the right way to do this, Curt? How do we party? Where do we party? What do we do? What do we say? Who do we rib? Who do we not rib? I mean, Curt was the man with the answers, Curt was a man's man. He was very cool. So we're out in the Showboat, like I said, every third week we do our TV tapings. It's like my second or third one before Shawn's coming in, and Curt was introduced me to the lady that owned the Showboat, and she used to tell us, "Hey, if you play the slot machines, make sure you play the ones by the door. They're set to hit more, because when people come in, we want to hear the ching ching ching." So Curt's like, "It works. I do it all the time." So Curt and I go over. It's about noon or something like that. Shawn's scheduled to fly in for the first time, coming in from Texas. He's scheduled to get in around 3 o'clock. So straight into, I love the gamble, man. The blackjack tables and craps and the slots, which only because of that. I hate the slots, other than the fact that if you find the ones by the door that are hot, you can do good. Anyway, sitting there playing on this one machine, because it's right by the door, and it's breaking even. And Curt, so assured me that he knew this was the area. This is it. This is the area you want to be in. So he's on one side and staying on this machine for a couple, 2-3 hours. That's pretty much about even. Maybe I'd get up about $15, $20, and then get down to nothing, maybe down 10, and hit something. I just knew he was getting close to hitting a good one. 3 hours worth of play that Shawn walks up and he's like, "Okay, what are we wearing? What are we wearing?" He wants to see. He's all excited. He's like the casino, the lights flashing, bells are ringing, whistles, everything's going off, and he's all excited about that, but he wants to see let's go see the outfits, So we tell Curt, so we see him in a little bit. We'll go up to the room. It was right there. The hotel was all one in the casinos. We go up to the room, and I had on the bed, had the leggings, fur legging things laid out, all of mine and his, both sets. Everything was made out of as he called it, fur. But it was a cloth, some kind of cloth with it. But, the wristbands, the headbands, the ties, the belt, everything was black, white, tiger, or zebra, whatever you want it to be. And the shirt was black, white print, zebra print, or animal print, whatever. And Mary walks in the door and he looks. He goes, "Oh my God, we're wearing that." I said, "No, man, it's not bad. I promise. I've been doing it here, and everybody's." He goes, "Oh my God!" He runs and grabs the phone and he calls his mother right away. He said, "Mom, he's got us wearing fur everywhere." That's the first thing. He was so disappointed. I mean, I had to assure him, "No, it'll be okay. I promise it'll be all right." He was so upset. But once we got past that, he's like, "Okay, let's go gamble. Let's go down there and gamble." So how do I do this? How do I do it? What do I do? What do I do? He'd never been in it. He didn't know what to do. So we downstairs, and I want to go right back in my machine. So let's play the slots. That's easy. Just the coins in, pull. That's the easiest one. Start with that. So we go down, and some lady was on my machine. I'm gonna give her that one. I'm waiting on that one. Okay. So Curt's like, "Jannetty, come over here and take over mine. I don't want to. I've been playing it for it." So he takes off, and I go play his. Keep it going, try to get that. And I'm waiting for the lady to leave. So I'm gonna get on mine. So I'm gonna pull once. I see the lady walk off. I'm like, all right. I look over now. Shawn has stepped in there. He's putting coins in. I'm like, all right. You can ask Shawn. This is true. He pulls some bitch one time. Ding, 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 ding. Lights, bells, whistles. He hit the 777s. One damn pull. Curt come run over. He goes, "That's not right. You got to get half that Jannetty. He played it for 3 hours. He set it up for you. 3 hours. That was the story of the career. 3 hours of play, but he comes in and puts one time, one pull, 777s. So that was our first day at AWA.
Who came up with the Midnight Rockers name?
I think, they took a minute because they wanted to, they gave us all kinds of crazy stuff. Vern Gagne was, he's, "Jesus Christ, I want to give you guys something original. You want to be American, something American, you're all American boys. How about the American Express?" So that's a nice name, but that's a credit card. I don't think we can go with that. Jesus Christ, so shit, you kids. So he said, "What about U.S. Express?" Well, I think Barry Windham and somebody was doing that in WWF. And now I did know of the WWF finally. Didn't know of them, which is really bad news, huh? But I think somebody's already using that. Jesus Christ, you guys are going to be difficult. I can see that. Not really. I mean, how are you going to use the name American Express? And there's a credit card that's been established. And so we went through a couple of things, and I forget how, Curt Hennig basically gave us the idea that the rocker thing. Because we were out partying. I think it was out in Vegas, and Vegas. When we fly in that day and do the TV tapings, we'd be done by 10:30, 11 o'clock. Flight would be the next day at 7 o'clock. There wasn't none of the boys that went to bed. I mean, it was straight up partying all night. I remember Shawn and I were kind of just, I think we might have actually been tired on this one. And somebody made a comment like, "Guys, you guys are supposed to be, y'all are party animals. What's happening?" Curt's like, "Oh, it ain't midnight yet. They don't even start till midnight." And then somehow that clicked, midnight rocking, midnight rockers. Somehow or another, that was where it happened. And we went to Vern. Remember, we said something to Vern about it. Rockers, midnight rockers. And he was thinking, rockers. Are they going to associate this with rocking chairs? Or you guys are, I mean, we're like, oh my God, this is the promoter. This is the promoter. And he's midnight rockers with that. Shawn assured him. Shawn has his own way of, getting his point across, and he assured him that nobody would mistake the Midnight Rockers for guys in wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs coming out in the ring, which might be a decent gimmick. But I think that was basically how that happened. And then to that song, Judas Priest, "Living After Midnight, Rocking Till the Dawn." I mean, right after we'd figured out the Midnight Rocker thing, because Curt was like, "Hey, when you start till midnight," that we heard that song, right after, perfect. I mean, it was almost like it was, you know, one of those things with nature is, oh, just perfect timing. We come up with this, and we hear that song right behind it, and it's fits. And then, of course, that was our music, you know, it's the whole time we were Midnight Rockers.
Was there any big differences in the work style or the fans between Central States and AWA?
Oh, God, the big difference was the amount of them. I mean, it was Central States, of course, the Kiel Auditorium was always good. I mean, we got upwards of 15,000 or whatever sellout we was holding there. Because there would be some sellouts. I remember Ric Flair and Kerry Von Erich had some unbelievable 1 hour matches. Then too, Jimmy Garvin and who was it? And Chris Adams when they were doing the Battle of the Valets. That was another experience, you know, that I had that was wild. You know, remember back when they were doing that the Valets? You know, they had Sunshine and Precious, and they had this particular night. I had a girl I was seeing at the time who had long blonde hair. Could be mistaken for either one of them. And Chris Adams and Garvin were doing the thing where it was the winner, the other, they got 5 minutes with the valet. You know, the valets went at it. If Chris Adams won his, whatever, something like that. And one of the girls wasn't there. Let's just say it was Chris Adams' valet wasn't there. So, no, it would be the other way, Jim, because I think Chris was a babyface. Jimmy Garvin's valet didn't show up. And Chris Adams, you know, if Chris Adams won, his girl got 5 minutes in the ring was Precious. And damn it, if Pat O'Connor, I think was whoever was, they had Chris go over anyway, even though you know, there was nobody there for the thing. And they left it at that. It was the last match, it was main event. It was sold out, it was full. I mean, that was hot back then, that thing. And when Chris won, then now everybody's waiting for Sunshine to get 5 minutes with Precious. But they didn't explain anything. They didn't say she's out here. They just let the show go. And the people got hot and started rioting. And they were getting in the ring. They stormed the ring. This was like my first year in the business too. And I was seeing this, like thinking, wow, what have I gotten into? They destroyed the ring. They got in the ring. They tore the ropes down. I remember this one big girl. This was a big girl. They were beating the hell out of the guys. So they ripped her clothes off of her. And I mean, they pummeled her. I mean, they tore her clothes off and then beat the hell out of her. And then, like I said, they had the police with cars flying in, police dogs, I mean, riot squad thing. And then we were getting ready to leave, going out like one of the back doors. And they see my girl. They think it's the Sunshine or Precious one of them. And they were going crazy, man. They were beating the hell out of the door where we're at. And it was like, man, I was scared to death because they were kicking the doors, like bending in all the time. The police got there. But I mean, that was a hell of an experience. I mean, like I said, the first year in the business, and thought I was about to get trampled to death. But the difference, other than the Kiel, though, the difference was the size of the crowds. I mean, when we first got there, too, the Road Warriors were there, Freebirds were there. I think they were the main. I mean, they were going at it, you know. And you know, Vern was losing people in the WWF, and he was losing control. And he was just losing his control of his own self. Really, he was panicking. He's seen his company dwindling away, and I remember my first full tour. When I say full tour, it was like a 5-day run. It was Denver. Denver Auditorium was full. And it was a nice setup too. The way it was such a good arena for wrestling. I mean, the fans were right on top of the ring, and the acoustics were unreal. I mean, everybody had a good view. Everybody, I mean, the sound was everything. That was full. Salt Lake City was the next night. It was sold out. Went to Cow Palace. It wasn't quite sold out, but it was close. And that's a huge place. And somewhere, where the heck else did we go? That was pretty much full. Wherever it was the first. Those places were pretty much all sold out. But then when Shawn got there, I will blame Shawn. They wouldn't have. No, it was the Road Warriors. Right when Shawn got there, I've been telling them, like, brother, wait till you see all this. You ain't gonna believe it. When he gets there, the Road Warriors had just quit. So now we go around and everything was in half. It was half an auditorium at Denver, half the Salt Palace. The Cow Palace was about half, but that was still what we were used to. But Shawn thought I'd been lying to him. He was like, man, tell me there's sellouts everywhere. But the Road Warriors gone. Well, then the Freebirds left. And then it was that half went half again. So now you got a quarter out of the arenas. I mean, now it was almost like Central States. I mean, we made this big jump. And as soon as we get there, it just kind of fizzled out. I mean, but it was still, I mean, it was national exposure. It was ESPN. Yeah. But the crowds were really, they loved it. AWA fans loved the wrestling. And they were easy to perform for. I think that Denver was my favorite. It was actually the Rockers, Midnight Rockers' favorite. I mean, they were that was our town. And there was actually stories that I'll tell later too.
What was Vern Gagne like when the houses started falling?
Oh, he was panicking. He was panicking, and you could be on this. You see it through your paycheck, so you could be in the same spot on the card and have the same crowd, same amount of people, and your paycheck would be half as much as it was the time before for the same, and then the next time even less. It was just we always questioned it, like why. We're in the same position, we're middle of the card, same amount of people, sometimes even a little more, but we got less. Jesus Christ, you kids are always causing trouble. I see he didn't answer nobody. He called us the misfits of wrestling because he had now he was left with me and Shawn, who were new, basically, still we were a year and a half in the business. But we were getting over as the Midnight Rockers. I mean, we were doing new stuff. Remember, the Rock and Roll Express did a couple combination things. I think they did like a drop down, drop kick, and maybe a gut shot and knee lift combination thing. And so Shawn and I had seen some tapes of that and thought, that's cool, man. Let's do some stuff like that. Started coming up with quite a bit more, actually. We had a whole bunch of new things. So we were very innovative, I believe, and people enjoyed it. The style was different. It was new. And the pace was a lot faster. A little more high energy than the rest of the people out there. So we were getting over. So with us getting over and Vern not really wanting us, these young punks getting over, that was frustrating. We had Buddy.
Were you ever told to slow down or anything like that by Vern?
Not by Vern, no. As far as in the ring.
In the ring, yeah.
Not that I don't recall. If we were, I don't remember. I think he might have said slow down after the matches and what you do afterwards. But I don't. He may have. If he did, I don't remember. Because it sounds disrespectful, but I was back then. I didn't really think a whole lot of Vern because of the way he handled things. To me, he was really rude to everybody. I understand it now because the man was losing his business, his company. But then I came in and just seen that things were just, as far as I could see, he still had a good product, and he was so mean to everybody, so I didn't really have much respect for him. And two, he was an egomaniac, which not a big deal, but just coupled in with the way he was treating people, I just didn't think much of it. So a lot of times when he was talking to me, he was just, I didn't hear it. He was talking to me like, okay, hope you just call me a faggot, I'm disagreeing. Yeah. But what were we saying?
You're talking about the stuff that you and Shawn were coming up with, the double teams.
Oh yeah. We were getting over. Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. Buddy was a partier, and he was what everybody called a locker room lawyer because he always that's what the guy just hated. It was, you got to stop listening to them locker room lawyers. Buddy Rose is a locker room lawyer. But basically, he was just telling us because we didn't know stuff. Buddy had been around. Buddy was very knowledgeable, and he would be telling us about it. He said, "Hey, look, your payoff should have been this or that. Why are you higher on the card and more people when you get." Now he just would bring stuff to our attention that made sense, and for that, they didn't like him. It was like he was smartening up the rest of the guys. They didn't like that. Called them locker room lawyers. We had him and Doug Summers. Doug was a good guy. I don't think that there was anything wrong with Doug, other than the fact that he was tagging with Buddy. So Buddy was a locker room lawyer, so Doug was guilty by association. We had Jimmy Snuka was in there, and Jimmy's the greatest guy in the world, by the way. There's not a bad thing you can say about Jimmy, but Vern probably didn't see it that way. Vern probably seen that here was a guy that was at the top of WWF, and now he's here with me. So he's probably looking at like, something's wrong somewhere with this guy. Who else? They had Colonel De Beers, Ed Wiskowski was another great guy. It was a great group, man. It was like a sinking ship, and we all were on it, so we had to like buddy up with each other. Curt Hennig, of course, was Curt and Scott were there. It was great. But I mean, Vern, that crew right there, just named off Vern, and DJ Peterson finally came in, which was great. But we all partied really hard. Me, DJ, Shawn, Curt, Scott. We were known for being out, and especially around Minneapolis, man, just partying around the pubs there. I got a reputation real quick. Actually, it was a place called Jukebox Saturday Night, I think it was called. Whenever we go there so much, wrestling was huge in Minneapolis. Fans they were packing out the place. I mean, they were giving us everything for free, our drinks or whatever we wanted, because they knew when we came in, the place was going to pick up. But so we were getting a reputation around town as partiers and all that. So Vern called us his misfits of wrestling. Jesus Christ, I got every misfit in the business. You guys over here, you're tearing up the bars. You guys got no respect. You guys over here, locker room lawyers. He just, called everybody something. He just didn't. And so, that was, and that also made us want to, rebel more, because he was telling us that. We'll show you misfit. Pat Tanaka was him and Curt and some of the guys were always ribbing. The ribs were great there. That was some of the fun times. I think I saw, the video of Shawn, or was it Shawn? Somebody was talking about the lock. We got to the lock phase. That was Curt's idea. Curt was the guy. Like when we did shows in the high schools, gymnasium, the dressing room, the men's or the boys' dressing room, or the girls, whatever. You got all the little master locks and all that thing. Well, Curt showed us that if you go around and look at every one of them, there's going to be one or two hanging open. So you take them off. And then if you go pull on every one of them, one or two are going to pull open. Even they look closed. So, I mean, we'd always get 6, 8 locks from every dressing room. And if we didn't use them that night, we stockpiled to the next night. We'd have 15, 20 locks. And, I mean, everything used to get locked up. Guys' bags would get locked to, like pipes. They're going across the top of the ceiling. Their gear would have locks on them. There would be locks. I mean, just anything that could be locked was locked. And it got so bad. There was a guy called Silo Sam. He was in that Pee Wee Herman movie. Remember the tall dude who was running down the street? He was like, they brought him in to be the Battle Royal King. And, he was, I like him and all. He was kind of goofy. And Curt Hennig was like, we got to do something about this guy. So, the Battle Royal this one night, and like I say, this is what his specialty, And going along with about 10, 15 of us in Battle Royal, and all of a sudden I hear Curt just laughing his ass off. This is during the Battle Royal. I'm looking over him. I know he's done something goofy. What'd you do? He's look at Silo. Look over Silo, and he's got a loop in his he has these big overhaul things. There's like a loop, I guess, where the hammer or whatever go. It's locked to the top rope. And he's and everybody come over and just started chopping the hell out of him. He couldn't shoot nothing, beating the hell out of him. And then the Battle Royal, everybody's out, and he's locked. I mean, he's locked, and the fans just laughing because he's stuck to the rope. They had to go get what do you call it, guy, the janitor there to get lock cutters to get him out of the ring. He was there 15 minutes to the top rope. And that was when Vern had enough. Vern called a meeting about that one. He said, Jesus Christ, guys, the locks. No more locks. We got schools calling, the girls' basketball teams' outfits are all locked to the ceiling and they can't get in. There's locks on everything. And one other real quick, one of the funniest ones that Curt, man, was the man. We'd had a big problem. I say a big problem. We used to cut up at the studio where we did our interviews for the towns. Vern Gagne was kind of, he got under everybody's skin. So you'd have the pencils that he'd be writing off as soon as you do your interview, he'd scratch it off or whatever. Shawn or one of us or both of us would As soon as Greg would go back and we'll look over, rewind the tape real quick and see how it went. Take the pencil off. This is a silly thing, but we was just bored too. We'd be there all day. Take the pencil back and Greg come in and, all right, guys, there's my pencil. I son of a bitch, I need to leave. Go come back with another pencil. They write something off, go and check the film. We take that pencil and he'd come back. He'd look, and it took him about 2 or 3 pencils before he figured out the hell is, Jesus Christ, guys, are y'all messing with me? Don't be my, and so he'd go get another pencil. We ended up got about 8 of them. I mean, because he'd start taking them with him. He finally figured out don't leave it laying. And but I remember somewhere along the lines we got a pencil sharpener and sharpened down every one of them to just enough. We had about 8 or 9 pencils just did a thing. And he went to look at the tape and laid them all back on the table for him. He comes back and he goes crazy. Damn it, that's it. I'm telling Dad. I ain't taking this no more. So he runs and has a word with his father about the pencils being sharpened down. And so his dad wants to have a meeting and about the ribs. He has enough of ribs. Curt Hennig is coming. He comes out. We got to go to this one little officer meeting. Curt comes out of the bathroom, the men's bathroom, and he's laughing like hell. And I'm like, what? What'd you do? He's like, go in there looking in the toilet far end. So now Curt got my ass on this too, but he got, first of all, I'll go in there and see what the hell. Nick Bockwinkel, who was, the world champion, and Nick was Nick's a good guy, super guy, cool guy, but he just was in a bad position because he was like the buffer guy for Vince, he had to stand in and represent, and the Rebels didn't want somebody representing them. So, Nick was always like Mr. Boss and teaching and telling everybody what they had to do and this, that, and the other. So anyway, going this last stall, and there's a picture, 8x10 promotional picture, which is Nick with his pose with the belt, laying in the top of it, just floating there on the toilet with his shit right on top of it. I mean, all you could see was the turd, and then right underneath his name said Nick Bockwinkel. And I'm sitting there laughing like hell. And I go open the door, walk out, and there's Nick standing there. Oh shit! And then I heard Curt standing all laughing. Curt sent him after. He goes, Marty's in there. Goes, I don't know what he's doing. Go check. So Nick looked at me. What have you done? I haven't done anything. I took off running. And then he goes in the back. I hear, Marvy, that's just Marvy. As he says, he comes back, a very lovely Jannetty, very nice. And Curt, man, you son of a bitch. But no, they were just, Vern Gagne was pissed off now. Nick's all upset because he didn't go shit on his picture. And he thinks I did because Curt sends him in there after he tells me to go in. But so Vern has this meeting and he tells us about the locks thing. That's the main thing. Jesus Christ, locks, blah, 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 blah. No more locks in the territory. You guys, no more ribs. I'm tired of this. You guys are a bunch of misfits. I got the worst people in the business. Blah, 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 blah. Any more ribs, I'm firing you off. You're all fired. Shut the territory down. I don't care. I'll quit. I'll quit the business. No more. Absolutely not a single, and especially no more locks. That's it. Now this meeting's over. He goes and picks his bag up and it's locked. Somebody just reached around and locked it. During the meeting, they locked it to the damn desk. He's like, Jesus Christ, that's what I'm talking about. He punches the wall and I busted his hand, goes running out. And he gets out the door, we all bust out laughing. Curt's like, what? What happened? Curt, Curt did something. What happened? I missed it. He's sitting right there, him and Tanaka. But then that night, then Nick comes in too. He, after Vern goes running out, Nick goes, you guys, I tell you what, no more with you. Just don't mess with the big, he calls himself the big buck. Don't be trying to rib the big buck. Do not rib. I'll just warn y'all one time. Do not rib the big buck. That night we had to drive a 3-hour drive somewhere in Wisconsin. It was snowing. And we had our show and everything seemed to go off, with no problems. Then we're driving back. It was me, Curt, Shawn, Tanaka. We're in Curt's Blazer driving back. Nick had left Shield. We stopped and got a couple of drinks somewhere or something. Nick left way ahead of us. Oftentimes you do pass each other going to the same town. We're all going back to Minneapolis from wherever we were in Wisconsin, maybe Green Bay or something, a 3-hour trip. But the thing was, it was a heavy snow. It was hard to drive that night. I mean, it was, you got to be real careful. And we seen Nick's car. We're coming up and we're like, wow, Nick should There's somebody watching. Nick's been gone a long time ago. Curt's around and he starts laughing, which already that tells you something's up, right? So we're catching up with Nick's car and we're looking over and we're hearing this. What the hell? He's like, his car's gonna blow up or something. And Nick's like, he's driving like this. I mean, because like I said, it's the weather. He's like right near, and Curt's like, roll the window down. So rolls the window down. You hear this. Like, what the shit? Well, should we tell him his car's gonna? Curt goes, tea kettle effect. Look right there on his doorknob. On his doorknob is a lock, and it's just banging up against the side of the thing. And he goes, double effect. Look at the front, and his little hood ornament on the front had a lock, and they're just banging away on the car. So he goes, now watch this. He blows the horn, and Nick looks over at us. Nick's got these big ass glasses. You know, you're like, he looks over and there's a lock right in the middle of his glasses. He just looks at us and he's mad as hell. He just laughed. The whole carload died laughing to take off. But that was the big bug. He said, not the real. And Nick actually come and got me back for that. He came and super glued my car, the locks in it, super glued them all shit. I guess he figured I did that because of the shit with Curt. But that was some of the stuff there, some of the ribs there, the AWA days that used to drive them a little bit crazy. It was all fun.
Did you guys respect Vern back then, or
there was a respect, but it was you had to respect him as he was was he a national champion? Was he? He was very high up there with in amateur wrestling, and what he'd done in the business too. You had to have that respect. Plus, he was the owner, promoter, or whatever. But it was just, like I said, just the way he treated some of the guys was disrespect. It was respect and it was disrespect both.
Do you think that he could have done anything to save the company?
That would have been tough, man, because I think Vince was just buying just money unless Vern was going to try to match him, dollar for dollar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think he made a good effort to create new stars and give you guys the ball to take over for the guys they lost?
That might be what it was too, because he kind of was stuck with wanting to keep everything 50-60 style with what was successful then. I mean, he didn't see the change coming. Basically, it was a change and he didn't see it or he didn't agree with it. And like our thing was as far out as he was going to go, with us doing the rock and roll, high flying, high energy, crazy stuff. Like I said, the Road Warriors, I mean, that was too much for her. I guess that's why they took off. They had the kick-ass character, and maybe he didn't like that they didn't sell enough or whatever it was.
Okay. All right, turning to the in-ring stuff in AWA, we'll start out with probably the most famous match that you had in AWA, that bloodbath against Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. I think it's on the Shawn Michaels TV that WWF just put out too. Yeah. What are your memories of that match?
That the very first thing that comes to mind when I think about it is how Shawn was so damn scared because he couldn't get his blade out. He'd come over and goes, I can't get it out. What the hell do I do? I was like, settle that way. He was so nervous, I started getting nervous. I mean, it was, I don't know that I'm sure he had juiced before that, but I mean, I think.
Was that the first time you guys juiced in AWA?
I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly, probably. No, but I don't know that for sure. No. But I just remember him coming over to me. And if you watch that video, you'll see when he's over, we're talking. It's right after the couple of nice little spots he does with whoever, Buddy, where we got a couple near falls. Then it was time to get the juice, and he comes right over to me. If you ever see that again, you watch. He's talking. He's just, you look at it. He's fumbling around at the wrist. He's panicking. He's like, I can't get it. What the hell? Give me your blade. I was like, settle down. Just take it easy. No, I can't get it out. He's like, oh God. And but it ended up, he got everything was fine. But too, if you watch that next time you watch that, that was funny. Maybe he hadn't juiced for it. I don't know. Because I remember when he went out to the floor to get it, if you remember, he had his head under the ring. He was completely, like an ostrich with his head and all. Which I was like, oh my God, don't make it too obvious, right? And then he comes out with the blood out from underneath his head and thing with blood. But I loved that match. I mean, because it was the bloodbath. It was just something to it. Working with Buddy and Doug was a pleasure. It's like the grapplers were our mentors at that point in our career for me and Tommy Rogers. I don't know if Shawn got to work with him, but Buddy and Doug took us, for that level, took us to the next step. It was always a learning and a pleasure thing to work with them. I think we got the angle got drawn out a little bit long for whatever reasons, but that particular match, it just seemed like the crowd there, the Showboat, was a really good crowd, and they were it seemed like they were really into that one. I mean, it was like, I think everybody thought that the Rockers or Midnight Rockers were going to win the belt that night. And then when the blood started coming and it started looking like, oh God, they're getting killed, you just feel the energy from the people. It was like something, I don't know, it was something different. I mean, I experienced that later on in the career, but I think that was the first time I ever felt that during a match, the connection with the crowd, where you just became a part of one whole thing. Instead of, there was no separation in the ring and as the people, it was just all one. If that makes any sense. I mean, I understand it, but I don't know if it makes sense.
What were some of the most important things that you learned from Summers and Rose?
To always have a lot of beer if you're going to be doing the powder, so that any kind of level was off. Oh, you mean in the ring? Oh, okay. All right. We quite a bit, man. They taught us how to progress a match with the intensity. How you start off with some spots, and you're. I tell you, what I'm thinking of right now, Tully and Arm were the best at that. When we worked with them, the Brain Busters, but I'll stay right here for now. But they kind of initiated teaching that the progression of a match as far as the intensity, starting off with whatever comical, like Buddy would come out there with he weighs 217, have a scale and get on it, but everybody would say he's 271 or whatever, and whatever his little things he'd do with the crowd. But then you take it into wrestling. Then you take it into the next level. The heels get pissed off. We get a little more intense. Just the progression of a match, of the intensity of a match. I think we learned quite a bit there. Just how to work 20, 30-minute matches and not lose to people and not get redundant with what you're doing. A lot of locker room stuff from Buddy. I mean, he would tell you, But I mean, yeah, it was it was. I think we went around a year with them, and it was like even up to the end of the year, we were still learning a little something from them, because I think we finished off with cage matches, and I'd had a couple of cage matches prior to that. I think I had Bob Brown, maybe one other cage match my entire up to that point, and then we started going around with them with the cage matches, and they taught us how to milk the crowds with how, if it's the first one over the top or whatever it was, just how to milk the cage. I mean, it was always something we learned from them. Never stopped, even when we were done. I think it was all said and done, and we were done with them. The last match we had, we learned a little something.
Any of what were like your favorite angles or matches from that whole program?
Man, they did some dirty shit to me and Shawn. They not Buddy and Doug, but AWA, the Gagnes, whoever. They did one thing where still haven't touched this car. That was almost 20 years ago. Damn, I'm getting old. They had a deal where Buddy and Doug supposedly jumped us in the parking lot because they didn't want us coming after their title thing, and they had told Shawn and I to go home, take a towel, and just scrub the skin off your face. Don't worry, it'll be scabbed for a day or two, and it'll be fine. So Shawn and I always trying to be the best we could, no matter what it was we were doing. So we just took the towel and just, for about a half an hour, rinsed on our damn faces, and I had this big, like size of a damn moon cricket scab right here. And Shawn, I think, got his eye up in here. It wasn't something that went away in a few days, like they said. I mean, like I said, I think this little paintness right here is from that was 20 years ago. That I had a circle, looked like a birthmark for about 5 or 6 years. From that thing, it could be seen very well. And it was to be because they jumped us in the parking lot, to keep us coming after their belts. So we come to that TV taping, big scab here on me, and Shawn's got one big here. And they're like, we're not going to do that now. We changed our mind. I think that was them getting back at the Misfits a little bit. And some of the bitches, that was the experience that came over to the youth there. They got us with that one.
What are your memories of your feud against the new Midnight Express when they came in?
The new Midnight Express was
Randy Rose and Dennis Condrey.
They were good, man. It was fun. It was easy, fun. I'm trying to remember if we worked with the original. I think we did work with the original once or twice also, but they were both teams were very good.
Yeah,
it was easy. And they were, again, we learned from them. I mean, I can't tell you what particular aspect of this we learned or any particular one thing, but every time we worked with the guys like that, they were very experienced and were good. We learned a little something, even if it was how just to flow with each other or whatever. Just watch how they worked with each other. We'd see that, not necessarily what they do against us, but how they interacted amongst themselves as far as in the ring. And we were like, hey, yeah, that's what we should, So we always a little something from everybody.
What was Paul Heyman like back then?
I'm going to try not to say too much bad about Paul.
I'm just focusing on the AWA days.
It was good. I mean, that was one of the reasons that I later got bad, the thoughts on him, bad feelings from him or on him or whatever you want to say. It was cool. I mean, he was out there like the rest of us, busting ass, and he was good. I mean, he's a talent. He's a genius, I think, for his business, maybe for whatever. He was good. I think he was a big part of making that whole thing work with the team there. But we did a lot of partying together, him and I, and it was a lot of all of us did. But I mean, Paul and I did quite a bit of partying, and that's why the treatment I got from him later, in ECW, he was like a whole different guy once he got to take over that company or run that company. It was like, wow, this ain't the same Paul. Yeah. But which happens to a lot of guys, in not just this industry, but anywhere that wants to get successful or get in a position of power, or whatever. But I mean, that was probably maybe my first taste in this business with somebody that changed so much, from the guy I used to hang out with and just like feed me pills. I was like, you're like, man, Paul, where are you getting this stuff? And he just kept, or whatever, the nights at the China Club where, we'd have all kinds of things set up and going on. And he just totally, I think, all right, next.
How about your feud against Bad Company? Any memories about your program with them?
Yeah, man, they were great. I think that's one of the best teams we've ever worked with. I mean, we've worked with a lot of good teams, and I don't know if it's fair to say one is the best because there's that, but I would say they're up there if they're not what we work with. They had Brainbusters, Paul. Tully Blanchard, and Arn Anderson. Man, that was a team right there. But their style made them like the best at that what they did. Paul Diamond, which was a Bad Company, one of them, and Pat Tanaka, totally different style. And I mean, they were like the best at what their style was. I mean, if you had to pick between the two of those, it'd be tough to say. I mean, because it took just totally two different styles. I mean, either one. I'd like to see those two work together. I mean, that would be a hell of a match. You couldn't do that now, probably, but I mean, back in the day.
What was Dallas Page like back then?
Dallas was cool when he first came in. AWA, I was impressed with him because he always brought so many pretty women with him. And he could talk, man. I mean, right off the bat, we had to. That's always impressed me because it's something I can't do as far as a promo and I know I ain't shutting up right now, but I mean for an interview or wrestling, or promo, I just never could do it. I mean, I tried. I mean, Shawn and I would ride down the road 3-hour trips and just, Shawn could do it. He would try to help me with it and just couldn't have a tape recorder. He'd just talk stuff into it for an hour and I'd play it back and I just throw the tape recorder away. Yeah, that's all. I ain't never gonna do this. But Diamond came right in, man. I was impressed as hell. It was Michael Hayes was another one. Ric Flair was that way. These were guys that because like I said, I was trying to learn to do the promos. They're just amazed at how they could give me like, okay, you got you got a 2 minute, you got to do 2 minutes on the grapplers in St. Louis. All right, get ready. I'm like, well, shit, what am I going to say for 2 minutes? I mean, hey, we'll kick your ass. Now I'm done. What am I going to do for the next 1 minute and 50? But, I'd sit and struggle and think for 20 minutes what to say on the 2 minute interview. And Ric Flair, I mean, he'd give him a list of all the towns, and he'd just look, all right, where am I? Kansas City, and boom, he'd rattle off 2 minutes worth of whatever. Where's the next town? St. Louis or Lincoln, Nebraska. But I just rattle it off. You ain't got to think about it. Just go. Diamond Dallas was that way. I mean, they did the same thing with him. They brought him out in a showboat, and they said, hey, we want you to do an interview for this place. But he just zoomed, he hit it. Very good. Now, I guess you got to be a kind of a natural. I don't know if that's what something Rufus R. Jones used to say. Is you can work real hard and improve, yes, but you can't be like the Dusty Roses and the Flairs. That's just a natural gift. It just comes. And Dallas Page, he has that natural gift of gab, or whatever you want to call it.
Are there any more favorite or least favorite AWA moments that you want to talk about before we wrap up the AWA years?
Or
matches, or angles, or shows, anything like that?
Let's see. One of my favorite, Bad Company, working with Bad Company. Like I said, we worked with them. Actually, we were leaving. We were on our way out. And they were coming in, and we were dropping the belts to them. And again, the Gagnes, it's another typical thing, had lied to us about a guaranteed amount. They were going to give us a set amount, which we weren't getting. And they promised, and so just stick in here with us, guys. We're going to do this, we'll do that with you. And then we come to a TV tape, and they're like, "We want y'all to drop the belts tonight." So we got no leverage whatsoever if we drop those belts. So we're like. And we never, never said anything about, we don't want to do a finish. Never. But we just realized that our leverage was gone as far as, okay, you guys said we would get a guarantee. If we get the belts up, what we got to do? So we stood up to that. And they told us, Vern Gagne, and he loaded the room with people in case there was going to be a fight. He had Wahoo McDaniels in there. He had some dude, it was like a 7th degree black belt sitting in there. And this was like me, Shawn, Paul Diamond, Pat Tanaka. It's usually all, and Greg Gagne. That would normally be it because he'd give us the finish and everything. He's got all these backup forces in there. So, I mean, we knew that they were expecting. And Shawn and I weren't going to be fighting everybody. We were going to raise some hell, but we weren't going to be fighting nobody. But we did. We can't. You promised us, we don't want to drop the belt right now until we get that other thing settled. We didn't want to say in front of them guarantee because we felt like, just doing Greg and them a favor, not letting the rest of the guys know we were going to get a guarantee. But they come right out. Greg come out. What are you talking about? We never said promise on nothing. So we're like, oh shit, man, we're screwed. And looked around at we thought about it for a second, looked around at all the backup forces, like, nah, never mind. We're just, okay, well, let us think about this. We had actually left the room and went and sat and just discussed getting on a plane, just leaving right in with the belts. But then we thought, no, let's go do this thing, let's drop it over here. And so it was Pat and Paul. I was glad it was them because we were great guys and great workers. And so Bad Company, we were happy to do that with them. So it was like a bittersweet match because it ended up being a great match. And I think I got color on that. Where they ran into the post on the outside. Got a good one. But like I said, it was excited to love working with them, man. Because when you turn a crowd on, you go out there and you got 20,000 or whatever people screaming. I mean, you go home with a contentment, a happiness that just can't be explained. And when you're going to work with Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka, you're going to get that. You're going to be able to do that. And so, it's like, yes. So it was good from that point. But then again, we knew we were done. I mean, we were going to haul ass because they screwed us. The guarantee thing. And that's, I think we made a phone call the next day to Terry Garvin, who was then in WWF. Who said, okay, you guys, we'll bring you up here. Because Vern and them were wanting a 2-year contract, but they weren't giving any money figures, just tying it down for 2 years. And I remember calling Terry Garber and tell him that. I said, they want to sign us for 2 years. He's like, no, don't do that. Just make a phone call. And I think we got a call like a couple of days later and a starting date. And then a finishing date the very same day.
We'll get to that story in a minute.
Okay.
Well, what's your opinion of Greg Gagne?
Yeah, you know what, Greg, I mean, he's a good guy, but just, you know, I like him. I think I like him more so than his father. His father, and it's not that I don't like his father, it's just, I think they were in a tough position. They didn't, they weren't handling, they were falling apart. They were just losing control, you know. And that's when we met him. So, I mean, we kind of met him under, you know, duress, I guess.
Did Vern ever bounce any checks on you?
No, but Paul Heyman did. Yeah. My buddy bounced checks for me. He never got it cleared up until he come down to Florida and wanted to save on airfare. Didn't have to pay because I lived down there. Then all of a sudden the check cleared. So they would make those other shows for him.
Okay. All right, one last question about AWA. Any party stories or prank stories or rib stories that you didn't quite get to?
Let's, you know, I told you about the lock. It was the lock phase, you know, we went through. Going back, there's one other funny story. It was funny to me, and a lot of guys have seen it. We had, you know, one night during all the lock phase, you know, everything's getting locked up. We had a couple guys, badasses. Scott Ledoux, who was a boxer. I think he fought like 8 world champions. He almost beat Ken Norton. Scott Norton was a wrestler, wasn't he? But I mean, he was a tough guy. And then you had Leon Baby Bull White, you know, who was Vader, of course. Two tough badasses, you know, one in football, one boxer. One night, we were riding in Curt's Blazer. Curt was sitting up front. I think Shawn was up there. And in the back was one side was Leon, Baby Bull White, and Scott Ledoux, and the other side me in the middle. 5 was piling in. I think it was like Curt had the perfect truck for the snow, a lot of snow up that way, Minneapolis, you know. But we're riding, and you know, Leon had big old burly, and it's funny, his interviews, he started out with that, oh, power, and then he'd go right there, hi, Larry Nelson. He had a high-pitched voice when he actually talked. But he was going out, we were leaving the building one night, and he was starting with signing autographs. He didn't like the people would like tell him like, why your voice? I mean, you got Howard did it. And so he kind of he wouldn't sign autographs. I mean, he's just, you know, some people that way. Scott Ledoux called him on it one night. We were leaving the place, and some kids asked Leon, get away from me. Leon always had a bad attitude too back then. I don't know if he's changed or not. Great, I like him, don't get me wrong, but he's a good friend, but I mean, he had a bad attitude. So Scott Ledoux, like I said, we got in the truck and Scott started saying, you know, that's why you never made it in football. You know, and I'm like, what? And Leon, the same thing. You're like, what? He was, hey, you know, sign for the kids. What the hell, you think you're too good to sign for the kids? Leon says, and he's like, what the hell's that got to do with football? He goes, you just fucking stupid statement like that's why you got your ass beaten boxing all the time. So I'm like, oh God. That's because Scott he took his boxing serious, you know, and he starts going, oh, hell would you? You went to the NFL and you did great in college, but you couldn't do shit with the big guys. You chicken shit, but you got your ass beat by 8 world champions. You couldn't beat nobody. I mean, now these two badass, I'm in the middle. And I'm like, no, guys, I'll sign the autographs. That's what I'll do it for y'all. That's just easy. Because I mean, they were swelling up as they were yelling, you know, and I'm getting squashed on each side. And you know, Curt's like, yeah, I think you should sign autographs, Leon. Shut up, Curt. Don't stir this shit up. and I thought they were going to go at it. I mean, Leon's leaning right over, like, got his fist pulled back, and he goes, oh, I've fought a boxer before. I'll fight you. And Ledoux's like, oh, I'd love to knock you out. I'm like, oh my God. And finally, I think Shawn finally turned around and calmed him down somehow. I don't know what he did, but I mean, they were steaming. I was sweating from the heat coming off and down in the middle. And the next day we had to fly somewhere, I think it was. And it was only Curt could come up with this. We're walking down to the airport terminal, and we look, and Scott and Leon and John going at it again. It was the next day after that thing. They're at it again. We're like, oh my God, they're going to go at it. And I mean, Leon's huge, and Scott's a pro boxer. What's going to happen here? Who's going to break it up? What's going to happen? So that night, wherever the heck we wrestled, remember when I come back to the dressing room, getting ready, and now all of a sudden, you're like, God damn it! Fuck! Oh, you motherfucker! Scott screamed. We're like, what the hell? We look over there, and he's like, this bag here, except a nice bigger one, two of them. Scott Ledoux's bag, Leon White's bag, have been locked together on handle. Now they got to carry. They had nice bags, these Gucci bags. They were a lot of the times if you can't find somebody to cut the locks, they just cut the damn bag and you get another one. They weren't going to cut their bags. They had these Gucci bags, whatever the hell they were. So now these two monsters that hate each other have got an outside handle of each of their bags. They got to walk their bag together. Headed through the airport that day. I mean, they got all the way back to Minneapolis before they got a lock cutter. And they were walking through the airport like a date because they were actually carrying their bags together. Only Curt, man. Only Curt could have come up with that kind of. But that was during the lock phase. It turned into the lock thing. It turned into to shavings, eyebrow shavings, or even head shavings. Pat Tanaka would tell you about the head shavings. The thing there was, whenever you passed out, if you passed out and your boys were around, just eyebrow gone. And it was funny because, a lot of times you'd have TV tapings the next day and you got no eyebrow. Curt, I don't know who finally got Curt because Curt was the master, and Curt, one day somebody got him. And he put a Band-Aid over it. He went to the ring the next day. It was TV taping. There was one night, at one point, me and Shawn and the Nasty Boys, I was telling you earlier, the four of us lived in a one-bedroom apartment. And I think this was when we were down in Tennessee, though, for Lala or Jarrett's. And, so every so often, guys from AWA would come in and do a shot. Curt come in one night. And there was this guy named, it was a Japanese photographer, very popular. What was his name? Suzuki. Jimmy Suzuki, I think was his name. They came down, he came down to film Curt. Curt was doing a big tour of some kind or something or other. And he was for the Japanese paper. Suzuki's following Curt around every town he's going to. And, you got all the guys that did the shade. Always, the Nasty Boys were bad about shaving people, especially the promoters, like the little towns we go to, like local promoters. Nasty Boys would get them, come on, you gotta get drunk and party, drink it a lot, and they pass out and they shave their eyebrows, shave half their head. And Curt was I think he was originator of that thing. And Shawn and I once in a while had been known to shave an eyebrow. Sometimes Jack Daniels tell you to do stuff, but we're all in one place together, one room. It's one apartment, and we're drinking and we're like, it's calling truce. It's like, come on, guys, because we're ready to go to bed. We've been up a couple of days and doing what all we used to do back in those days. We haven't slept in 2 days. We're wanting to go to bed. But nobody wants to go to sleep because like, no, there's no way somebody ain't getting shaved out of this crew, so we're begging, please, nobody, please, no, don't nobody, nobody, we all said truce, but damn, if we didn't all go to the bathroom cabinet and get Band-Aids and go ahead and put them over our eyebrows so if we, mess with it, it'd wake us up. And we're all doing that. We look over and Jimmy Suzuki, the Japanese reporter's passed out. So Curt goes right over to him, does his job, does his business. They didn't get one of them, he got both of them, both eyebrows off. And I think he was getting him so hard on the second one, it woke Jimmy up. I think his name was Jimmy. I know it was Suzuki. He got up and he's, oh, what happened? What's happened? Oh, what's happened? And he nicked him a little bit, so a little bit of blood. And so Jimmy goes to see it in the bathroom, see what's happening. Oh, where are my eyebrows? Where are my eyebrows? Oh no, this is no good. And he comes running out, asks Curt, you see my eyebrows? Where are my eyebrows? And Curt's like, I don't think you brought them with you tonight. and he gets all upset, man. Suzuki goes out in the parking lot. Now the Japanese guy at 4 a.m. is so upset. He's just out in the parking lot steaming, no eyebrows. Curt gets on the phone and calls and says, "We got a problem over here at the apartments where it's goes." So there's some Japanese guy out in the parking lot roaming around by the cars with a brick talking about Pearl Harbor. So the police come up and they come grab Suzuki and they pick him up and he's got blood down the side of his face, and I don't know what they ended up doing with him, but that was some of the eye shavings, eyebrow shavings stuff we had to phase that we went through. And there was a lot of it. Like I said, it was a lot of times it was wrestling promoters. It was a little small town, the smaller town promoters. We didn't ever get burned. That we'd like to have, but another. Did I tell you about the one of the big memories that Shawn and I had? When we were living in Minneapolis. Like I told you, partying. The partying was the thing. And we had come up with a system of, like, if we had to wrestle 2.5 hours outside of town, 2 hours outside of town, the bars. We get through around 10 o'clock. Well, I think Minneapolis at the time, the bars closed at 1, which is early. I mean, that sucked. But, if we just got there for last call, we'd make up for, because we buy 10 or 12 shots for last call and make up for only having 20 minutes of being there. So, but we're 2 hours away, 3 hours away, and we got, so much time to get there. We come up with this idea of, and he had this little 300ZX that would fly. We made a blade, like for do the thing, and we put it in the middle of whoever was driving. The one that wasn't driving, if we got pulled over, took the blade. If we got stopped, we'd just fly, go 100 miles an hour. And if police pulled over, which I think one time just happened, we hit it, hit the blood. We tell the police we got through wrestling over there, just got nailed pretty hard. They was trying to get to the hospital, and that was. I think actually the only one time we actually had to use. I mean, we had it ready for that very thing, and the only one time I think it backfired on us because the cop wanted to just take us to the hospital. Or follow me. Well, shit. Which I think we got there, we just like, no, it's okay, man, we're all right. And we're just gonna get on back to the house. He's like, all right, but we didn't get to go out that night. We were more disappointed about that than anything, but yeah, that was our system, man. Have that blade right there. I don't suggest that everybody do this, but have that blade right there. And if you're speeding wrong, reach up and get it and say, "Oh, look, bleeding, trying to find a hospital."
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.